Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem El Shai, Shem Rakakodash, Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. And I'm going to entitle this video, I'll see where the spirit takes me on this video. I don't know if it's going to be a long video, short video, whatever. I'm going to entitle this video, And Behold, the Third Woe Cometh Quickly. This is from Revelation 11:14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. I may read some of this chapter, maybe even the whole chapter. I may read it in the NLT. Let's see where the spirit takes me. The third woe represents the Third World War. When you go to Revelation 9, it speaks about, Revelation 8, behold, three woes cometh thereafter. I believe that's Revelation. A matter of fact, I'm sure it's Revelation 8:13. Then you go to Revelation 9, and it goes into the second woe, but it also speaks on the third woe. So we're going to go through these scriptures, and like I said, we'll probably read most of all of this. We already know it, but I want to read it in the NLT. There's a different translation, different sound to it. So there's all kind of precepts that come up in your mind. Ezekiel 38, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 35. There's so many scriptures that come to mind that's dealing with this coming Third World War, this system is America's already a part of. They're already in the war. It ain't going to happen for you other Israelite groups out there saying, oh, we might be out of here in the next month. No, it's not going to happen. We're going to be here for a while longer because the prophecy of the MOTB has to come to pass. So I don't see them pulling back from the war. I see the war settling down a little bit. But we're in a time of wars and rumors of wars. And this all started with the flock, the least of the flock, with the war they declared with Gaza / the Palestinians in the land in the Gaza Strip. There's a thing called proxy wars, and a proxy war is a rumor of war that actually becomes a war. So this, the plans that the Israeli government and the military had was to totally annihilate the Gaza Strip and rebuild it, because they want to build a third temple, because they think they're fulfilling the prophecy. That current government in Israel is a secular government. You got secular Edomites that built this thing up, and then they using the scriptures, the prophecies to back up. See, this is the fulfillment. No. It's going to be a spiritual awakening. The Most High is going to bring us back, and the Most High is going to raise up King David, and then the whole world is going to be under us. So that current government, Israeli government, is like I said, it's a secular government. You watch the whether their form of their equivalent to the parliament, their equivalent to the presidency, the prime minister. If not all of them, 90-something% of them are smooth shaven. They wear European style two-piece suits, and some of them speak Hebrew and others don't. Some of them speak both Hebrew and English. And it's a secular government that's propped up by the U.S., which gives them billions. I don't even know the number of how many billions, but they've been giving them billions every year. I think at one time it was $4 billion a year, and now it's got to be, 50 billion or more or less. So the Most High is not going to set up a kingdom and have Babylon support the kingdom. So, matter of fact, let me just do this. Let me do this here. Okay, so I typed in U.S. strikes Iranian targets in Iraq and Syria. It said the U.S. conducted, and I have it on CNN, and they're also talking about breaking news. This situation in the Middle East, the U.S. finally got involved in this war. So this is the Third World War. Just got to build up. This is the U.S. conducted major airstrikes on 85 targets across 7 locations in Iraq, and Syria on Friday, the start of what will likely be a series of large-scale U.S. strikes on Iran-backed militias, meaning they're attacking Iran, who have, and that, that should make you think of immediately Ezekiel chapter 38, which speaks about Gog and Magog. That's happening in our lifetime, not 1,000 years from now. It says Iranian-backed militias who have carried out attacks on U.S. troops in the Middle East. Now, these 3 Jakes that were put to death and there were 40 that were injured, that's the attack that they're talking about. And it sounds staged to me because I said no Edomites, it's all Jakes. I believe 2 of them were women. It was 1 man and 2 women, if I'm not mistaken. And they were dark-skinned Jakes. As the U.S. carries out retaliatory strikes on Iran-linked militia, but no 3 soldiers got put to death. So we don't know what happened behind the scenes. So it says here, this is as of 1 hour ago, live update, U.S. retaliates after a deadly drone attack on Jordan base, which I believe it's a false one of those. U.S. retaliatory, if you don't know what I mean by false one of those, keep watching our videos and learn. Listen and learn, take notes. U.S. retaliatory strikes start in Iraq and Syria in response to Jordan drone attack. U.S. retaliates with strikes. And this is an hour ago. There was another story as of an hour ago, 4 hours ago, 1 hour ago. AP, Associated Press, that's a feed to all these other news people. So the AP gets it first. If you ever been inside of a news studio or radio studio, which I've been in, every studio has a ticker tape for the AP and for the UPI, United Press International. And it comes out in the form of a ticker tape, and it gives you this breaking news. That's why when you hear it on the news, all these news companies all sound the same, because they're reading it based upon the AP and the UPI. It says U.S. targets Iran's forces and allies in Syria and Iraq. So there you go. U.S. launches strikes on 85 targets. U.S. launches retaliatory strikes in Iraq and Syria, BBC. U.S. launches strikes. So there you go. There you go. me go to images. This is the hotbed right here, the Levant. And when I first saw this article, I thought there were three. I wasn't sure they were women. They look kind of mannish. You got one male Jake and two female Jakes. They look very mannish. This is the hotbed. So it's on. It's on and popping. Like I said, I'm not going to go to a bunch of precepts, but a bunch of precepts came into my head. So what I want to do is not read all of this, but I want to read some of it. NLT. Revelation 11 and 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the main street of Jerusalem. That's not talking about, you have scholars that say that this place is talking about Jerusalem. It's not talking about Jerusalem. It's talking about here in the States, the Valley of the Dry Bones, the city that is figuratively called Sodom in Egypt. Jerusalem was never figuratively called Sodom, nor was it called Egypt. This represents Babylon the Great. See, the Bible, just like we speak in codes, the scriptures have to speak in codes. The city where their Lord was crucified. Well, like I said, Jerusalem was never quite compared to Sodom and Egypt. It doesn't make no sense. What is Sodom famous for? What is Egypt famous for? This is Babylon the Great. And when it said crossed out, meaning crossed out of our minds. And for 3.5 days, all peoples, tribes, languages, and nations will stare at their bodies, because we're not physically dead. No one will be allowed to bury them because we're not physically dead. Dead spiritually, mentally, intellectually, psychologically, whatever. We don't know who we are. In the place where it says, ye are not my people, there it shall be said that ye are the sons of the living power. And that the place has to be this place right here, this current system that we're in. You go back to any time the Israelites were taken down by another nation, they always knew that they were Israelites, including the Romans and the Greeks. The Roman Empire, we were allowed to keep the high holy days and Passovers and, go to have temple, go and worship. It's under the Roman rule. So we knew that we were Israelites. So this is the place that we lost who we were. Inheritance meaning the land, but what's attached to the land? The culture, who you are. It says all the people who belong to this world will gloat. All the people that belong to this world, that's talking about Israelites too, will gloat over them and give presents to each other to celebrate the death of the two prophets who had tormented them. Wait a minute now. Torment, according to Bishop Nate, means you're going to burn in fire forever. Torment, the prophets never tormented nobody. We never put anybody and burned them in fire. When you look up the word torment, It means Esau's tormented that listen to what we're saying, because now they're realizing, hey, these so-called black Hebrew Israelites, they, I don't, they've been saying this for years, and it's coming to pass. Just look up the word torment in the Greek. Does not necessarily mean burning in fire. I'm not going to look it up for you. You look it up for yourself. It said, but after 3.5 days, which represents 350 years, from 1619 to 1970, we started to wake up. That's when you had Abba. He was still on the scene. You had the three under him, Masha, Ariah, and Yaquab. It says the Most High breathed life into them, which he did to Adam, and that's also spoken of in Ezekiel chapter 37. But they had no breath. Ezekiel said, "Breathe on them," and they received the breath, meaning they know the full knowledge of who we are. A Yah Israelite, an Old Testament only Israelite, they're not breathing right. They're COPD. They're not breathing right. You got to breathe in and breathe out, and breathe clearly. So we can't talk to them Yah Israelites. We can't talk to them Old Testament only Israelites. The group or groups that have this truth are the former One Westers. Why do you think vocab is always, making videos against us? Mainly IUIC because of their numbers, But they don't have the full, IUIC doesn't have the full numbers. I mean the breadth. It said the Most High breathed into them, and they stood up. Ezekiel 37. Terror struck all who were staring at them. They saw us in this dead state, this mentally, spiritually, psychologically, economically, but not physically dead. They saw us in this dead state, and they clapped their hands, pursuant to Lamentation. I believe that's Lamentation 2:15, if I'm not mistaken. Then a loud voice from heaven called to the two prophets, which represents Judah and Israel, come up here. And they rose to heaven in a cloud, which was Yahushua's ship, because we're leaving out of here in one ship, as their enemies watched. The enemies are the nations and you wicked-ass Israelites. At the same time, there was a terrible earthquake, that because the missiles hitting, the ICBMs, this is terrible, boy. I'm watching CNN, and you can see, they at it, boy. They at it. So it's on and popping. So the earthquake is from the warheads pelting the earth, making the whole earth quake. It says, 13 verse again, at that time there was a terrible earthquake that destroyed 1/10 of the city. Now, 1/10 of the city, the word there is decimate. Decimate means 1 in 10. But ultimately, this whole place is going to be destroyed. That's why it goes on to say 7,000 people died. What does 7 mean? 7 means completion. Anytime you come across the word 7 in the scriptures, it always means completion. 7 women shall take hold of 1 man. That doesn't mean we're just going to get 7 women. We can get 1,007 women, and we'll be able to handle them all. 7,000 people died, meaning everybody on this land, 5,000 square miles of Babylon, in that earthquake, and everyone else was terrified and gave glory to the Most High heaven. Now, we were the ones that were terrified and gave glory because we're going to be beamed up in the ships and we're going to look down at the destruction. Psalms 91. Only with thine eyes shalt thou see and behold the reward of the wicked. And the wicked include 2/3 of the Israelites. It said the second terror is past, and look, the third terror is coming quickly. The 7 trumpets brings the third terror. So we're getting ready to go into the third terror. Then the 7th angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices shouting in heaven, the world has now become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Messiah, and he will reign, for what? Forever and ever. This goes hand in hand with Daniel chapter 7, starting from the 18th verse down past the 25th verse. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it forever, even forever and ever. So we're in the last stages of this thing, man. Zechariah 14 and 12. Matter of fact, let me go to that in the NLT, then I'll close. Zechariah 14 and 12 in the NLT. And the Lord will send a plague on all the nations. The wicked shall be cast into hell, and all the nations that forgot the Most High. That's all of them that fought against Jerusalem. Their people will become like walking corpses, their flesh rotting away, their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. On that day, this is immediately after Jacob's trouble, on that day they will be terrified, stricken by Yahweh with great panic. They will fight their neighbors hand to hand. Second Ezra's chapter 15, Second Ezra's chapter 16. Yahweh too will be fighting at Jerusalem. There's going to be certain Israelites that's going to be in the midst of that fight. Behold, I will remove the northern army and carry them to a land barren and desolate. That's between the Red Sea and the Euphrates. That's Saudi Arabia. That desert, that vast desert. So you're going to have Israelites that's in the military. These first casualties of this war is what? 3 Jakes, 3 Israelites. It said they shall become as women. 2 of them were women. Check that out. It says, we're not going to fight. The prophets, we're not going to fight. It says the wealth of all the neighboring nations will be captured, great quantities of gold and silver, and fine clothing. This same plague will strike the horses, mules, camels, donkeys, and all the other animals in the enemy's camps. In the enemy camps. In the end, the enemies of Jerusalem who survived the plague will go up to Jerusalem each year to worship the king. No, wait a minute. I thought they all going to burn in hell. The torment in Revelation, what is that, Revelation 19, is going to be you working out there in the field, doing what we tell you to do, and beating your ass. So there ain't no such thing as no fucking everlasting hell that your spirit goes down into. To worship the King, Yahweh of heaven's armies, or the hosts of heaven, to celebrate the festivals of shelters, shelters, or the feast of tabernacle. Tabernacle is a shelter. Any nation, any nation in the world that refuses to come to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of heaven, armies, will have no rain. So they're not going to burn in hell. You're going to serve your punishment out on the earth. You're going to die. You're going to have children. They're going to serve their punishment out on the earth. Because you got to pay for what your forefathers did, because you are your forefathers coming back in reincarnation. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to make this long. All kind of precepts come to mind on this subject. With that, I'm going to say shalom.